Hi, this is Dodger, and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go.
I've been organizing my shelves, not that one, don't look at that one, but all of the other ones, mostly organized. I got a little tripped up because originally my thought was I'll put all my mugs up there. Turns out that since mugs are all about the same height, doesn't look quite as dynamic as I was imagining. Also, and I feel like I don't say this enough, if this is your very first video of mine, welcome. I hope that you hang out and watch the whole thing and see whether or not you like it, and if you do, I hope that you will do me the honor of subscribing. Let's get into it. So for our first piece of news, it's the 20th anniversary of Diablo, and along with it, we've got lots of additions. And not just to Diablo, like all across the board. You know how Blizzard is. They really like to get all of their properties involved. Well, they're certainly involved. Most of you have probably heard of the cow level. Started off as a rumor that didn't exist in the first Diablo. Some people still think it existed. A rumor that didn't exist in the first Diablo, and then it's now an actual thing. Like, it's a place that you can go. It was kind of a secret for, a hot minute because it's the internet, and now you can just Google it, figure out how to get there. They've added a new cow level, and not to Diablo, no. They've added a cow level to World of Warcraft. Apparently, if you kill treasure goblins on the Broken Isles, you can eventually get there. There's like a big write-up on the WoW subreddit, so I'll just link that if you want to know like step by step what to do. But there's like a cow king there that you can fight, and if you beat him, you get a guitar that plays the old Tristram theme from Diablo. So if your little nostalgia heart was like, oh, I want that, then you should go and check out the subreddit, find out how to do it. I feel like I remember talking about the Diablo 3 cow level in one of these episodes, like forever ago. That's kind of fun. Look at us. It's like we've been on the internet for a while. Season 4 Smite update is here, and it looks like we're gonna have some cool new gods to play with. All of them are Celtic themed, however you would like to say it. And the very first one that they've revealed is Morrigan. Not like this, but like this. You wind up playing that game and you're like, man, I mean, eventually they're gonna run out of gods, right? And they just don't. Yeah, there are tons of updates, not just with the new gods, but they're sort of revamping, like they've changed ranked now. They're adding a new consumable that's called a ritual. All kinds of stuff. Changed map stuff. I think there's also a new, hold on. There's a new game as well called Smite Rivals. Apparently it's the third game. Did not know that there was a second game. And this is where one of you is gonna be like, Dodger, you did, cause you talked about it in a past news episode. Well, I'm sorry, okay? I'm just bad at my job. I will put the full press release in the description if you would like to read more about it, and of course I will link to both trailers, the one for Morrigan and the one for Smite Rivals. If you are an Elite Dangerous player, your community has basically struck gold. I can't even tell you how many articles wound up popping up the second that y'all found aliens. Now we don't know if it's actually the aliens that you guys have been seeing, like rubble of, but it could be. Either way, it's aliens, right? Like, who cares? Basically, there have been like non-functioning ruins inside of the game that people keep finding, and a working version of that was just floating around in space. It seemed to scan the person who found it, and other people have confirmed this as well. They're not being attacked. It seems like they're just being scanned, which is eerie. It's also why some people are saying, well, maybe it's not, the really violent race of aliens that we've heard so much about. Maybe it's a totally different type. But then why would the ruins look so similar? I think that's so cool that after all of this time, there's this big payoff of like, there's aliens! Guys, there's aliens! So if you're an Elite Dangerous player and maybe you haven't touched it in a while, yo, get in there, get on that. Again, I know I link to a lot of subreddit stuff, but like, a lot of times that's where the really intense community stuff winds up happening. And this is another situation where there are so many threads in the Elite Dangerous subreddit where people are kind of documenting meeting these aliens, right? So if you're interested in that, I will link that. And yeah, just in general, like if you love Elite Dangerous, go check it out. See if you can find you some aliens. Or see if you can waste like 4 hours trying to find some aliens. Aliens. The encounters look peaceful. Yeah, you keep thinking that, dude. Landmark is closing. Surprise! You know, the EverQuest MMO that was supposed to keep going when they were like, oh, EverQuest Next isn't gonna happen, but we're gonna pour all of our resources into Landmark and make sure it's super cool. Landmark, I don't think was ever a super success. People didn't really enjoy watching it. Not that many people got super into playing it, and it seemed like it had so much potential, but it just didn't quite get there, you know? At this point, I'm just really, really hoping that they'll take the property, like that the EverQuest property will be bought by somebody else, because Daybreak doesn't know what to do with that. Daybreak Game Company will retain all of the code and data from Landmark. Daybreak Game Company will not license or authorize the operation of a Landmark emulator or a fan-operated Landmark server. While the look of our world was inspired by what was intended to be the voxel world of EverQuest Next, Landmark has evolved into its own game with its own unique identity and purpose, with a really short lifespan. I'm just hoping that by them saying, no, we're not gonna allow you to fan operate it, no, we're not gonna allow you to do an emulator of it, whatever, I'm hoping that means we're thinking about selling it to somebody else, right? Like, we're thinking about giving this stuff to someone else to do something with it, because otherwise, that's just a lot of work that nobody's appreciating. That's what I don't understand, is when a game shuts down and the people who made the game, who don't plan on doing anything with it, who aren't selling it, aren't willing to let someone else sort of pick it up, right? So if they're not letting anyone pick it up, I certainly hope that that means there's other plans, there's other things in the works. Because EverQuest, I know that, I might be nearly 30, so maybe my perception is off, but I'm like, EverQuest still feels like a beloved franchise to me. It's not extremely popular anymore, but it was like my first MMO. I went super deep into EverQuest, right? So the fact that more and more aspects of EverQuest are either just being sort of disrespected or leaving the universe entirely bums me out. So I'm really, really hoping that they have plans for that in the future, that they're gonna sell it to, I don't know. Would anybody buy it? I don't know, I hope so. As the community has grown and designs have flourished, we no longer view Landmark as just a building tool. We've been toiling away, making Landmark into a wonder unto itself. Yo! Ariana Grande is in Brave Exvius. Like the Final Fantasy game. She's in her bunny outfit. You know, the iconic Ariana Grande with the bunny outfit? Yeah, she's that, but like in a Final Fantasy. And some of you might be saying, that's real weird. They have a remix of one of her songs that's inside of the game, as well as her sprite, her little avatar that you can use. And yeah, a lot of the response, I think, from a Western audience is, that's really strange. Of all of the celebrities that you could have chosen, Ariana Grande seems like a really strange choice, because she's never, well, as far as I can tell, and as far as a lot of other people can tell, she's never been super into Final Fantasy, right? She's not one of those celebrities that's been like, God, you know what I love? Final Fantasy. And maybe she loves it. Far be it from me to make assumptions about anyone. But I think what it actually is Ariana Grande is like really big in Japan. A lot of Japanese music artists love Ariana. She's like, it's odd. I think every now and then we hear about somebody being just a monster in Japan and we go, really? Like when Avril Lavigne just a couple of years ago was super big in Japan. We were like, Avril? Ariana is pretty big here, right? So the fact that she's super big in another country, I don't think is extremely surprising, but the fact that she's big enough that out of anybody, any celebrity that they could have used to try and reach another audience, they went for her. I think that's where people are going, huh? Apparently her song inside of the game is fantastic. I think she looks super cute in it. I'm not bashing it. I think that that's adorable. And she like made a little thing being like, thank you so much, I'm so honored. But yeah, if you're playing Brave Exvius and you would like to have Ariana Grande in your game, you totally can. I would love if in the comments below you could say what celebrity you would have chosen. If you were in charge of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, right? Who would you have chosen to represent and like put inside of the game? And what song of theirs would you have remixed? Oh my God, I'm so excited to read these later. As a final bit of super quick news, Awesome Games Done Quick for January has started. It started today, the 8th, and it goes until the 15th. If you want to watch some amazing speedrunning being done for charity, please go check it out. They're really, really awesome. I'll link where to watch in the description. It's just a joy to watch. It's such a pleasure. I love it. I have friends who actually physically go there to like watch in person. I've never felt inclined to do that. They always cover it very, very well. But you know, sometimes you get amazing speedruns, sometimes you get terrible ones, sometimes you get really awkward ones, and then you're kind of sad. But overall, it's fantastic every time. Like, in the end, you go, that was great, I loved that. And anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to watch my streams, you can find them at twitch.tv/dexteritybonus. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you again next weekend, and we'll talk about some more games. Okay? Bye-bye. Mwah. Just bad at my job.